The Nasdaq has filed a proposal with the Securities and Exchange Commission to require mandatory diversity on the boards of the nearly 3,000 companies listed on its US stock exchange. In a statement, the president of the Nasdaq said, "Corporate diversity at all levels opens up a clear path to innovation and growth." Well, joining me now is Young Americans for Liberty analyst Kristin Tate. Kristin, so as I understand it, this seems to be one of our most important stock exchanges imposing a kind of progressive agenda on companies if they want to list there.
That's exactly right, Jerry. This proposal by Nasdaq is just wokeness beyond parody and threatens economic growth. There are so many problems with this proposal. First and foremost, Nasdaq has no business micromanaging firms, telling them who they need to put on their board or getting involved in other corporate governance matters. It's literally none of their business. Nasdaq exists to be a marketplace to raise capital and expand the benefits of corporate ownership. But secondly, diversity in business is a wonderful thing, and it allows boards to, expand their horizons. But mandated diversity can have unintended consequences. Any potential gains in business to women or minorities because of this mandate could be offset by the perception that those individuals got their positions simply because of quotas, not because of talents. I mean, no serious person who's qualified to sit on a board of a public company wants to have other people in the room looking at them, thinking that those people may be thinking they're only there because of the color of their skin, their gender, or their sexual orientation.
And the Nasdaq said rather boldly, I think, that this was good for business, that actually the evidence was that diversity was good for business. Well, if it were good for business, you'd think companies would be doing it themselves anyway. Why do they need to be told that by the Nasdaq?
Exactly right. I mean, it very well may be true that, corporations that have more diverse boards end up having greater financial success. If that is true, then NASDAQ certainly does not need to force diversity onto corporate boards. We live in a country, in a free society, where we judge people based on their experience, their knowledge, their expertise, not based on their physical appearance. And these kinds of mandates are offensive to me and other women, I think, as well, and perhaps to minorities as well, because it suggests that women and minorities cannot make their way forward based on their own merit, and that they need to be put in front of the line simply because of their skin color, their gender, or their sexual identity. It's sort of insulting.
And this comes at a time when the appeal to companies of listing on US stock markets has been declining. The number of companies publicly listed is down significantly. Other companies' stock markets are looking to encourage US companies to invest there, particularly in Asia, but also in Europe, London. This doesn't seem like a very good way to build the business for the Nasdaq.
That's exactly right. I mean, there are so many ways to raise capital these days, and just from a competitive standpoint, this is not a good decision for NASDAQ. Since the mid-90s, the number of firms listed on U.S. stock exchanges is down by 25%. Increasingly, owners are turning to private placements, private equity, and venture capital. So this comes at a time when NASDAQ is already less competitive than it once was, and probably is not a good business decision for them.
Now, the consolation for those of us who are skeptical about this is that it's a proposal to the SEC, and doesn't seem right now the SEC is minded to approve it. But of course, when the Biden administration takes office, it will be able to change the SEC commissioners. There's a pretty good chance, presumably, given the Democrats' agenda, that actually this could happen.
Yes, that's exactly right. In a Joe Biden administration, this is very likely to happen, especially because increasingly the Democrats really do put identity above everything else. They're obsessed with it. And really, I mean, we need to start asking, what is diversity? Because if we really wanted to see more diversity in corporations, you would think that they would start hiring people with more diverse opinions, or people who perhaps come from different parts of the country or different parts of the world and have different experiences. It's not all about physical appearance or gender. It's really a toxic way to think, and it rips people apart and creates division.
Exactly. There aren't many farmers or people who've worked their way up through working class communities and companies on corporate boards. That's the kind of diversity you probably need more of. Kristin Tate, thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Jerry.